Yo, what up, foos? Twisted Foo here, and welcome to my review of Overwatch. So, as far as I know, the open beta is basically the whole game, so don't expect too many drastic changes from this and the game when it comes out. Alright, so what is Overwatch? Overwatch is a brand new game coming out for PC, PS4, and Xbox One by Blizzard Entertainment. And this is sort of a big deal. Why? Because Blizzard hasn't released a new IP in nearly 20 years. All their games before have been revolving around their three universes: Diablo, StarCraft, and Warcraft. So this is the first new game by them that's separate from their three and only three ever franchises. Also, they've never made a first-person shooter before, and this is definitely no ordinary first-person shooter. This is basically like a team-based first-person shooter. The closest game I can think of related to this is Team Fortress 2. Now, some people before were saying how this is just a copy of that. I can tell you it is most certainly not. I tried to play Team Fortress 2 a while ago, but the game never clicked for me. In fact, I was so bored and confused in like the 1 hour I played, I never came back to the game. But Overwatch, being essentially the same sort of formula of how the game is played, I got a totally different feeling and it feels good. Before hopping in though, I like to check out the settings. So the settings are great. Now this is for the PC version and you get a ton of graphic options, which is nice. It doesn't tell you in detail what each option does, but it's nice to have them nonetheless. As you can see here, everything is cranked up because this game is optimized amazingly. It runs super smooth. I get 60 plus FPS on my R9 280X with i5 4570 processor. For the rest of the settings, there's everything you could ever want. Individual sound settings, all the game settings you could ever want or need. I was impressed by the controller options. They allow you to tweak every single thing there is. And the coolest part of that is that they let you adjust the controls for each character too. Yeah, every single hero can have their own customized settings. I've never seen that in a game before. The game's social aspect is solid. The game tells you whenever your friend logs in or out. You can spectate your friends, you can join them at any time. You can create groups, which are basically parties, with anyone that's in your friends list or anyone in your recently played list. You can view their career stats, and you can do all that really easily. You can also chat with your friends, chat with your group, chat with your team, or you can chat with everyone in the map. Then there's different voice channels too. So the game has an inbuilt voice chat capability and with all the options you would need, and it works great. It's pretty seamless, and there's like push to talk, which I recommend you do. It's really nice that they included this. So you don't need to use third-party applications like Skype or TeamSpeak to talk with your team. So the game starts you off and it eases you in decently. There's a tutorial you could do to get a hang of the basic game mechanics. Then the game will tell you, okay, you can play versus AI, so you can get a feel for it. Or if you don't want to do any of this, you could just hop right in. It doesn't matter. I do wish there was a little more info on the game modes. I feel like I at first didn't know what I needed to do and how to do it in some game modes basically. I think it should tell you so there's no confusion at some point in the game. Other than that, everything was very clear and straightforward. So, how is the game? Well, it's pretty darn good. I am sort of worn out on shooters. I don't care for Call of Duty or Battlefield anymore. The only real shooter I ever really loved was the Halo series, but this is honestly really good fun. It's not like those other shooters. It's a 6v6 team-based object-oriented multiplayer shooter. So basically there's a map and a goal for you to win the game. So take that idea and put in, I guess, a bunch of heroes from a MOBA, like Heroes of the Storm or League of Legends, to give you some sort of idea. So it's now a shooter with individual heroes with unique powers, and everyone handles differently. That really changes everything up. You have your offensive people, your defensive, support, and tanky heroes. Each hero, though, is seriously unique. It is so unique that each hero has their own different controls. So, what they did was they didn't just map the same buttons for all the heroes. Instead, they made the button layout suit the heroes to what feels right for that hero. They could have just made it the same for everyone, but they didn't. And I think that was quite thoughtful of them because it adds to giving each hero more of an identity. Speaking of their identity, there is no story mode. This is strictly multiplayer only, but I wish there was something I could leech onto for story. This game just screams lore. All the cinematics they put out for this game, the reveal trailer, it feels like I know half of these characters already. They have so much personality and each is just amazing in their own ways. I wish I knew more about them. The world of Overwatch that it's set in, I want to explore the world and know more about it, but I need more. It's too good what they've shown. I need more and I want more. I played a lot of games with many heroes like this, like LoL and Dota 2, and I've not once cared about the heroes or thought about where they came from. But there's something special about Overwatch if you've been following the game, especially at all. There's a connection you get with all the heroes that I think really helps how you feel about the game when you play it. It's nice being like, yeah, I'm this guy right now, let's do this. There are about 21 heroes right now in the game. Each hero is drastically different from each other. No hero feels the same at all. Each hero has their own way of movement. When you play as a big tanky guy, it feels genuinely tanky. If you play as another tanky type hero, it's not the same. It feels like that hero should feel. The way they look, the way they walk, you will feel that when you're moving around with them. Winston is a big ape, and he walks around with his hands and feet, and you get the vibe that your character is actually moving like that. Things are moving on your character that you can see. Like Junkrat, you can see the balls on his guns that bounce as you walk. And if you jump, the gun has its own physics in your hands. Everything feels so lively in the game and animated. They put so many nice touches into the game that you really have to look to notice. Take the levels. There's a few levels, maybe 10 or less or so, I never counted, but each is so well built, you don't have time to stand there and explore the level, but you should and you might want to anyways. There's so much to see in the level, and they're just gorgeous. The first time when you enter a level, you'll be like, wow, this place looks amazing, what's that? What's that over there? This is incredible. The background with a city and cherry trees in the middle of the place. There's so much detail in these levels. When you really take the time to stop and admire these things, you'll be like, wow, they really put a lot of care into this. Level design wise, there's a lot. There are so many ways to do and reach an objective. Like, for example, there's a lot of high places, but only certain heroes can get to them. The game types are very limiting at the time. There's a versus AI, which you have a good amount of options for. There's the standard quick play, and that'll just throw you into a random game. There's custom games, which you can alter everything. You can get a group of friends in and make a custom game. I imagine you can make some really amazing games through that. You can alter things like how much damage you do, how much healing you do. You can turn off hero switching. You can only enable certain heroes, certain maps, reduce your cooldowns. There's a lot of things you can play around with and a lot of fun things you could do in there. Then there's also the last mode, which is Brawl. This is like a weekly brawl, and it's just like a quick match, except it just puts in like a new rule for you to play around with. Like a random rule where you have a random hero and you can't switch. So something like that. Within the quick match, there's only like 2 modes with variants of those 2 modes. One, you have to capture an objective. It's basically king of the hill. Sometimes you have to capture point A and then B, and the other team has to defend it, or sometimes you're both going to the same place and you have to try to hold it until a bar hits 100%. And it can be contested, which is when someone else is standing on it, you can't capture it. There's another mode which is payload. There's like a pickup truck or something you have to escort to the other side of the map. This is the only time I was confused in the game. This was the reason why I said earlier that there should be something to tell you what to do for each game mode. I had no idea how to move the payload and I was just shooting at it. I was like, how does this work? But luckily figured it out. Just ask someone in the game, you have to stand by the payload for it to move. And if you're the opposing team, if you stand by it, then it can't move and it can actually move the other way. All these are time based. It's a couple minutes a game, maybe 10 minutes or so, but these are fast paced, high action packed matches. Apart from playing the game for fun, they also added a system where you can make some progress and work towards a goal. What they did was add in several cosmetic items, over 1,000 items that you can collect. These vary from skins to victory poses, what they say, and icons and such. At the end of the match, you'll get experience points towards your level. So far, all that level really means is how much you've played so far, not how good you are. But you can definitely expect someone that's level 10 to be worse than a level 50 person. After each level up, you unlock a loot box and it contains 4 items. It does not seem that you get repeats from what I've played so far, so every item you get is new. You will eventually collect them all. It will take a considerable amount of time to unlock all the items as each level requires more and more XP. But this is a good system they put in place because I, for one, like progression in games and I'm a completionist. I gotta get 100% of everything. So this is good motivation to help me drive to play the game. On top of that, there are also achievements you can get, so plenty of things to unlock and everything you'll get for just playing the game normally. The game rewards you for the time you put into it. So what really makes this game is the heroes. The game modes are very limited and can get really repetitive if this was a normal shooter, but the heroes keep it fresh. You'll need to play all the heroes and you'll most likely want to play as all the heroes, because I know I did. This doesn't happen too often, but I think I liked every single hero after spending some time with them. So that's rare, I think. Usually people have one type of hero or class they like to play, but here everything just feels so good. Being a support in this game is amazing. You feel so powerful in the way you help your team. You really feel like you're their savior and you have to save them. If someone dies, you could have prevented that. You feel bad for it, and you try not to let that happen again and you improve on it. I never felt like I was doing a lame job because I was a support and I was just in the back just hanging out and healing people. I felt like a real part of the team and like a pillar of it. And without me, the team would collapse and everyone would be dead. I've never had so much fun being a support in any game. Not once while supporting did I feel like I lacked damage in anything. Yes, you don't do damage, but that's not your role. You need to heal, so heal. The goal is never who gets the most kills. In fact, the information isn't really told in the game. During the duration of the game, you don't know who has the most kills or deaths. They do this interesting thing where at the end of the game, they put up a few players and they say, this guy did the most healing, this guy participated in the most kills, this guy absorbed the most damage, and so many other things. The game acknowledges all the different roles required to win and rewards you for it. So if you healed your team like a boss, you can be the MVP of the game. You can have the play of the game where you went and saved someone's life. It's not always the one who gets the most kills has all the glory like so many other games do. It equally recognizes everyone's efforts, and I think that's amazing. Not once do you feel like, oh, I wish I wasn't the tanky guy and was getting kills. You feel like, yeah, I'm shielding my team. Let me be your shield, man. I can take this for you. Knowing you're essential to the team and seeing your actions like be rewarded feels really good. And of course, being offensive is also important. You have to kill. In fact, everyone has to. There's unlimited ammo. So you just shoot, slam, punch, whatever your hero does. Each weapon in the game feels awesome. The animations of the way they shoot and how they reload is fantastic. Let's talk about the heroes. They're awesome. Tracer is sort of the poster child for Overwatch. She has an ability that lets her jump anywhere really fast, like a short teleport, and also she can reverse time for herself. At first, I was like, whoa, that's a crazy concept. But will it work? And hell yeah, it does. It works perfectly. And at times when you first start playing as her, you kind of get a little disoriented because things can get a little hectic because you're jumping forward so fast and you just suddenly reverse time and you're like, whoa. But after you play with her for a little bit, it gets really fun and it's definitely something like no other shooter I've ever experienced. Then there's a ninja guy called Genji. This guy makes you feel like such a badass cyborg ninja. All his moves are great. They're all ninja based. The way he walks feels like a ninja. You feel like a ninja when you play this guy. There's Widowmaker, a sniper, and a super deadly one at that. You'll feel like a deadly assassin with a sharpshooter while playing as her. There's a cowboy called McCree that'll make every shootout one from the Wild Wild West as you fire off your revolver and duck and roll and shoot. There's this anime girl called Diva that has a mech and you can take it into battle and you can self-destruct it if you want and eject yourself, and then when it explodes you gotta bail. Hanzo is one of the coolest archers I now know. You've never felt this badass with a bow and arrow before. Lucio is a support guy who rolls on skates and uses music to aid his teammates. The music changes beats depending on what you do and you just want to bop your head to the music as you play him. Mercy is like the equivalent of an angel. She's rescuing all the heroes. Torch Jorn or something can build turrets and use them as a defensive or offensive tool. Farah, she uses a big suit with rocket launchers, can fly way up into the air and rain missiles down on her enemies. Mei, she can freeze enemies right in their tracks. Reaper, he can go into a ghost form temporarily, float around unharmed. You get the idea, I hope. No hero is the same. So where's the strategy in all this? That comes down to the heroes. You're gonna need to know how they all work, what they can do, and how to play them and counter them. There's a combination of certain heroes that work really well together, and you'll figure that out. All this is even more important due to the fact that you can change your hero anytime during the game. You do have to be at the home base, but basically anytime. That adds a huge twist to the game. So you start as one hero during a game, and you might end up switching your hero 5 times by the end of the match. Based on what your enemy is chosen, what your team needs now, what the level is like, and what objective you have to do, you choose a hero based on so many factors. A great player will know who to choose and when. You'll never just stick to one hero. You can, but I do not recommend that. You need to hero switch because you need to be able to adapt to any situation. Perhaps what you choose is working great now and your team is kicking butt, but then the enemy team changes up their heroes and suddenly you're getting massacred. Your team is also going to have to change up and change the way they approach things. Due to the level design and how many hero options there are, I'm sure there's hundreds of different combinations to achieve one goal. That's what makes this game feel really fresh the whole time I played it. Despite the fact that the game has very few game modes at this time, I've given a good 30 to 40 hours so far into the game and I feel like I know nothing. I've played both the closed weekend betas and the open beta, and I know there's so much to learn. I was learning new things every match, figuring out how to counter certain heroes, what areas in the level are good spots for certain heroes to shoot from or pop out from. There's a lot of complexity to the game if you want to be good at it. The game is really well balanced. It may not seem like it to newcomers, but there's a way to easily kill and face all the heroes. You just have to figure that out. They are always tweaking and making the game better and better. You can expect them to always update the game and adding new things and new mechanics. Right now, for what the game is, it is excellent. Over time, it'll only get better. Blizzard likes to add new content to their games all the time, making it better. So don't expect this to be what you buy is what you get. It'll be more like what you buy will only get better over time. Overall, Overwatch is great. I really hope I can buy it sometime in the future, and I highly recommend it to anyone who enjoys shooters at all. Even if you don't like shooters, I think you'll find something you like here. This is a high quality, really polished, really well made game, and I think there's something for everyone. I hope you all enjoyed my first review after being gone for so long and found this helpful in any way. Thanks for watching.